So twinning had a function here. The War of the Brothers isn't just some arbitrary genetic freak. It is, in fact, a useful ploy to create evolution. It makes sense, actually. So this conflict that feels inconvenient, oh, there's bombs over in Israel, you know, but this conflict means something because it does represent a good fractal of the Orion Wars. And how else are you going to cook up a vaccine, you know? So if we can work out the genetic diversity fractality here, so again, back to our picture, back to Jerusalem, let's try to finish the story. So Akhenaten has changed his name to Moses, or at least it's the family of, clearly. Moses' son is named Joshua, closely related to the term Yeshua. Now, if Akhenaten is Moses, that means Joshua is Tutankhamun. Now, the literature shows that it discovered how to solve the 300-year gap between Tutankhamun and Jesus. And they actually discuss how that happened, because there was 2 or 3 personalities that were combined into the Jesus myth by the Roman Catholic Church. Because the Romans, Uruan, they found it convenient for political reasons to administrate a religion. Would you like to be a Roman Catholic? So, anyway, you know, if you understand the origin of the Jesus story and how it came out of Egypt, it's to understand the connection between Yusuf, who is Joseph, and Joshua, who is Yeshua. And this person is called the righteous priest in the Essene scrolls. Yeah? The righteous priest is probably Yeshua, but it could also be Moses. But the righteous priest is the hero of the Essene scrolls, as you know. So, Tutankhamun basically runs out to the desert to try to save the life of his this crucifixion story, but there actually was another zealot, rebellious guy named Yeshua in Jerusalem later who was crucified, and these stories were combined to make the Jesus mythology.
Yeah, so you're saying, as I've read many times also, that it created stories of Jesus.
Most of that story is fabricated. Most of that story doesn't have historical reality.
Yeah. Wait, so what were you saying?
The story.
Moses ran out of the forest and was.
Moses is running for his life from the Amun priests. He's being chased, and he takes the gold and he takes the gold powder maker, and he goes and hides in the hills with his tribe, and that's the origin of the Essenes. And the record of what he brought with him is called the Copper Scrolls. And this is...
Not the burning bush that gave him stone plates.
The burning bush was the fact that when a group of Syrians gather around and phase conjugate charge, you get this same vision of the flame that they saw around Francis. And around that flame, they were handing him their genetic records, which they would burn these magnetic donuts on copper and gold foil, that was the origin of the alphabet in the Mormons, the Seraphim genetic records. And that's what they handed to Moses. Because the Seraphim technique for genetic recording was a sequence of magnetic donuts burnt into gold and copper foil. And that's where the Mormon origins begin, and that's the story of Moses. So it's very consistent. And Joseph Smith, who founded the Mormons, was studying the language of Society Akkhaldan, the Chaldean, and that's how he learned to interpret the Mormon tabernacle, the Mormon plates, the copper plates. And the Urim and Thummim are a tetrahedral transparent quartz, as we said, to index the tilt of those donuts called alphabet letters. And so this Chaldean Society Akkhaldan, Ka, the Ka in Egypt bowed into the underworld, became our word Cathar and Catholic. It's this part of the family that's being passed into history. So now we come to the family of the Essenes. We know the Essene royal families were the lineage of Benjamin and Joseph, which are the 2 bloodlines from Moses. And the Benjamin family becomes the Magdalene line, the Mary story, and the origin of the Arcadians, the Greek Arcadia, and the Boheme. You know, Benjamin, do you remember the story in the Bible, the gold cup in the seeds? Joseph is Yusuf, well described in Egyptian history. And Joseph has now been taken into the Egyptian royal family and is administrating the granary. Benjamin arrives, a well-known biblical story, And they're going about to imprison the brothers, and Joseph has a gold cup planted in the grain seeds of Benjamin. And the symbolism there is clear. There's a whole biblical book about this. The family bloodline of Benjamin and Joseph from the Joseph and Sarah story previously. Benjamin's gold cup in the seeds means that he has a gold fractal grail in the DNA. And Yusuf, Joseph of the rainbow technicolored coat, a rainbow coat is a memo to the fact that the braidedness of the raiment of his DNA has completed fractal foldedness. The boson 7, the 7-color coat, the rainbow coat. So the Bible is telling you in Sumerian terms of the genetic ancestry of Benjamin and Joseph. And the message is clear. Here's the good DNA, kids. This stuff is ready to be on fire. This is where we got to play. The biblical scholars know, for example, the Joseph and Sarah story is not the story of a person so much as a bloodline, where Sarah means the Asa of Ra. Asa means the queen of Ra. Ra later was Marduk, son of Enki, but originally was Enki himself. So the Asa of Ra, Sarah. And all the religions claim grandpa is Abraham, Abram. Abra in Sumerian would mean Ab-Ra, from the bloodline of Ra, which later was Marduk, originally Enki. So you see, the religious stories fit the genetic history if you can read a little bit of Sumerian, truly. And even, you know, the northern Dutch people can read Sumerian directly without translation. It's true, yeah.
Today?
Yeah, today. So now we want to bring this a little closer to the present. We're migrating through our story now. We're getting a little closer to the Templars and the Cathars, right? Okay. We want to get to our Grail story.
Just before you go there, the Northern Dutch people.
I'm trying to remember the name.
Why the Northern Dutch people was that? You know that
Friesland.
English.
Friesland.
English. What's the word?
Frieslander.
Yeah. That's where a lot of English came from.
Well, actually, Friesland is Germany, right?
Yeah.
And what does the word Aryan mean? Orion, Orion, AU means gold. So an Aryan race from Orion is those who have AU gold, which means fractal phase conjugation in their aura. Would you like to be an Aryan?
Yeah.
So literally it's a name for the possibility of having a phase conjugate aura. That's what Orion and Aryan race means. Origins of the term.
So the Aryans here are the ones who felt they were direct descended from, no.
Everybody wanted to have a piece of the fractal, you know? And this is why the Highlander story is the same story all over again.
And it's good to be Aryan in that sense.
In that sense.
Because you have that extra little to your blood.
The Orient. Well, see, the Aryans had an analogous problem to the English, actually. They had the higher percentage of reptilian blood, but the lower percentage of monkey blood. So they had the logic and maybe the juicy spine, but they didn't have the empathy. You know why Enki chose the Cro-Magnon monkey? His stated reason. Because he saw that was the only animal he ever saw exhibit compassion for other animals.
And
Think
the
about
Aryan will be the blonde, blue eyes?
Yeah, blonde hair, blue eyes. And the Syrians were, basically.
And they were known for compassion, so to speak, is what you're saying.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that those who had Rh negative had less of the monkey blood.
Oh, okay.
So less compassion.
That's right, less compassion.
But they had more of the ability.
That's right. They had more, yes.
So I'm
More
less-
dragon blood and less monkey blood.
Compassionate if I'm... what I say?
Well, it's a bit oversimplistic, but Rh negative would mean that you had more of the dragon blood and a little bit less of the monkey blood. But it's easy to be, you know, cliche about it. And certainly now we are a melting pot. But as you look at the ancestors and the tradition of Britain and the stiff upper lip story, it makes some sense.
So most people are positive, you said?
The majority of blood on Earth is Rh positive. Rh negative is in the minority. The only place it's in the majority is UK, I believe.
That's all of the UK tribes.
Yeah, well, you know, that's a general. And if there, you know, a generation or so ago, you could track it more accurately. And now you got such a mix that, and that's why I say cliches about, you know, French people don't like such and such. Those kind of cliches are so shallow these days. But the roots in the blood is useful, I think.